The loafers before number 19 spoke to many of them. Some said "Indeed," shook their heads, smiled, and passed on. They had no time to waste in staring at the king. But many waited. Lighting their cigars, or cigarettes, or pipes, they stood gossiping with one another, looking at their watches now and again, lest they should overstay their leisure. Thus the assembly grew to the number of a couple of hundred. I ceased my walk, for the pavement was too crowded, and hung on the outskirts of the throng. As I loitered there, a cigar in my mouth, I felt a hand on my shoulder. Turning round, I saw the lieutenant. He was in uniform. By his side was Rischenheim. "You're here too, are you?" said I. "Well, nothing seems to be happening, does it?" For number 19 showed no signs of life. The shutters were up, the door closed. The little shop was not open for business that day. Bernenstein shook his head with a smile. His companion took no heed of my remark. He was evidently in a state of great agitation, and his eyes never left the door of the house. I was about to address him, when my attention was abruptly and completely diverted by a glimpse of a head caught across the shoulders of the bystanders. The fellow whom I saw wore a brown wide awake hat. The hat was pulled down low over his forehead, but nevertheless beneath its rim there appeared a white bandage running round his head. I could not see the face, but the bullet shaped skull was very familiar to me. I was sure from the first moment that the bandaged man was Bauer. Saying nothing to Bernenstein, I began to steal round outside the crowd. As I went, I heard somebody saying that it was all nonsense. The king was not there. What should the king do in such a house? The answer was a reference to one of the first loungers. He replied that he did not know what the devil the king did there, but that the king or his double had certainly gone in, and had as certainly not yet come out again. I wished I could have made myself known to them and persuaded them to go away. But my presence would have outweighed my declarations and been taken as a sure sign that the king was in the house. So I kept on the outskirts and worked my way unobtrusively towards the bandaged head. Evidently Bauer's hurt had not been so serious as to prevent him leaving the infirmary to which the police had carried him. He was now come to await, even as I was awaiting, the issue of Rudolf's visit to the house in the Konigstrasse. He had not seen me, for he was looking at number 19 as intently as Rischenheim. Apparently neither had caught sight of the other, or Rischenheim would have shown some embarrassment, Bauer some excitement. I wormed my way quickly towards my former servant. My mind was full of the idea of getting hold of him. I could not forget Bernenstein's remark, "Only Bauer now." If I could secure Bauer, we were safe. Safe in what? I did not answer to myself, but the old idea was working in me. Safe in our secret, and safe in our plan, in the plan on which we all, we here in the city and those two at the hunting lodge, had set our minds. Bauer's death, Bauer's capture, Bauer's silence, however procured, would clear the greatest hindrance from its way. Bauer stared intently at the house. I crept cautiously up behind him. His hand was in his trousers pocket. Where the curve of the elbow came, there was a space between arm and body. I slipped in my left arm and hooked it firmly inside his. He turned round and saw me. "Thus we meet again, Bauer," said I. He was for a moment flabbergasted, and stared stupidly at me. "Are you also hoping to see the king?" I asked. He began to recover himself. A slow, cunning smile spread over his face. "The king?" he asked. "Well, he's in Strelsau, isn't he? Who gave you the wound to your head?" Bauer moved his arm as though he meant to withdraw it from my grasp. He found himself tightly held. "Where's that bag of mine?" I asked. I do not know what he would have answered, for at this instant there came a sound from behind the closed door of the house. It was as if some one ran rapidly and eagerly towards the door. Then came an oath in a shrill voice, a woman's voice, but harsh and rough. It was answered by an angry cry in a girl's intonation. Full of eagerness, I drew my arm from Bauer's and sprang forward. I heard a chuckle from him, and turned round to see his bandaged head retreating rapidly down the street. I had no time to look to him, for now I saw two men, shoulder to shoulder, making their way through the crowd, regardless of anyone in their way, and paying no attention to abuse or remonstrances. They were the lieutenant and Rischenheim. Without a moment's hesitation I set myself to push and battle a way through, thinking to join them in front. On they went, and on I went. All gave place before us in surly reluctance or frightened willingness. We three were together in the first rank of the crowd, when the door of the house was flung open and a girl ran out. Her hair was disordered, her face pale, and her eyes full of alarm. There she stood on the doorstep, facing the crowd, which in an instant grew as if by magic to 3 times its former size, and little knowing what she did, she cried in eager accents of sheer terror, "Help! Help! The king! The king!" Chapter 17